You are live. We are live.
We're live.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. G, you still there?
Carol, you having a little fit there?
Wow, Rod, he came early. He's tailgating.
He might still be here. Maybe.
He may still be here.
Hey, Rod.
Yeah. So welcome to episode 3. We've been talking a bit about cosplay over the last couple of weeks and kind of breaking it down. And the first week we kind of went over, the whole big picture and all the steps that go into creating a cosplay, from concept through to finish. Last week we kind of went through our concepts, and Bake is here. He's joining us through all of these steps because he's really the one that started this whole, getting us to do cosplay content. And he inspired.
Yeah, I remember I kept asking you guys all the time in the chats, and then I kept talking about this build I was thinking about doing, and then you just asked me and snowballed from there.
Yeah, we've been hounded by a lot of people to do actual cosplay content, and we've talked about it too much, so we thought we'd actually do some. We thought about showing some cosplay builds and the processes for it for Dragon Con, but that didn't happen this year, so we figured we would just go about doing it anyway, and think of some concepts and characters that we'd like to do cosplay of.
Rod said, nice haircut.
Oh, he sure did. Yeah, this is a COVID haircut. This is what happens when you can't go out and get them. I get my lovely wife to do it, and she nailed it. This is like the second one I've had now. I was just getting way too much.
Yeah, the second one was harder than the first one because the first one, I kind of had the framework from the real hairstylist. And the second time, I was like,
I was going to say, there's probably a YouTube video for that.
Wing it.
She just winged it. She did great. Mixture of clippers and scissors.
We're lucky for guys, we can just easily throw on a hat. So.
Oh, yeah. If I mess up really bad, like in 2 weeks, it'll be fine for a dude.
Right.
So, how's your week been? It's actually been 2 weeks since our last video.
Yeah, we were getting prepped for a little hurricane, and it ended up passing us by. Got a bunch of rain, but nothing to worry about. But always got to be ready just in case.
Right. Yeah.
Other than that, just prepping for this build, man. I cut out some of these patterns, and that's the topic today, right? Patterns.
Right. Yeah, we're going to talk about patterns, and we've established our characters. At least you and I, Bake. I think Delphi is now on board.
Sure. I'm checking out this lighting that Kachung has going on this time. I feel like it's very well done, but we're a little washed out.
Yeah. Can we turn it down?
I shut mine off because it was too bright. I want to get a different bulb.
Yeah, it's like so bright.
I can maybe turn it down. I know the struggle of hair, says Rod. So, Bake, you're doing the Mandalorian?
Yeah, I'm psyched for this. Yeah, I'm lucky, though, because I had, videos, and it's such a popular build that there's so many patterns in builds of it and, customizations of it that it's just got me psyched watching a couple of these and watching the process of it being done. Because this is my first one, so I don't want to, go into it completely blind.
It's definitely better. Yeah.
It's better. Yeah, so you've been watching some other shows.
Yeah. For I work with wood and stuff like that. So the foam and these other techniques of painting and how to handle that material, just to get used to it. Because if not, it's a whole lot of that whole process. Is a whole lot of sanding and prepping and sanding. I know that from just painting cabinets and other things.
Yeah. So you were thinking of doing it a helmet out of wood? Or you were just
At first, originally, because I was like, I have the CNC machine, I can just throw it up there, cut out all the pieces. But then I'm like, it's going to be rigid and it's going to be a whole lot of sanding. And then I would have to just line the whole helmet with foam on the inside. So I was like, well, why not just make it out of foam?
Right. And it'd be super heavy.
Yeah.
Even if you made it from really light wood. I don't know what. Yeah, balsa's pretty light, but it's hard to piece together, right?
Yeah, these pieces need to be like concaved and be able to move. You know, some of them would go in at like an arch. So the wood wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll be doing Dr. Fate. We've talked about that. And I don't have. There aren't many patterns out there for certain characters. Dr. Fate's one of them. I know someone did reach out to me and say that they had a Dr. Fate pattern that was based on the Injustice game, and I was like, it's not quite the look I was going for, but it could have been a start. But I think I was just going to try and do it freehand, kind of like I normally do. And I know you were going to do a pattern, like specifically from a pattern, so I figured we could highlight the two different methods. And show, what you can do and the mistakes you can make doing either.
Well, I still have some of mine left. They started off with like a PDF file, and I was lucky enough for the Mandalorian being so popular. I guess I can turn this on for a second. That's better. So this is like a part of the mask. So you'll make a left one, and you end up cutting these pieces out and tracing them onto foam.
Flip it over.
Yep. Here's one here. These were all little crossed out with little X's indicating to cut it out. So it leaves like a hole. I don't know if you can see on this one. Oh, there we go. Because in this one here, the holes for that are these things here. I got to cut out 5 of those and layer them to simulate a vent.
Oh, interesting.
So that'll be a vent duct.
Okay.
But I think that's pretty cool because this is like a technique that you can use on other builds as well. You know what I mean? If you're doing some kind of like futuristic or like robot build, it's an exhaust vent of some sort, and it's universal, Yeah. So I'll probably hold on to this thing, or at least the file.
Yeah, over time you learn tricks and techniques that help you with everything else from then on.
So from there,
it doesn't have to be the same, but you can kind of modify it slightly, and well, I did this for a different character or build. I can use it on this one. Delphia came up with an idea.
Yeah, so I think we'll see how it works out, but I'm going to start out with a pretty cool skull pattern that I found.
There you go.
Ooh, that's cool.
So this is a cosplayer that is pretty active on Instagram, has her own website, and
YouTube videos.
Lots of YouTube videos. What's her name?
Kamui Cosplay.
Kamui Cosplay. So Kachun and I had this whole conversation about, where do you find these patterns? I think that's a good. I asked him, I was like, have you guys talked about that? And he said no. He was like, no, we haven't. And he's like, I just wanted people to go find them on their own. And I was like, why? Like, tell them where you found them. So, one of the places that he goes to a lot was that dude site what was his name?
Oh, Evil Ted. Yeah, he's like a old Hollywood prop maker. And he does a lot of stuff. He's very active. He has patterns and tutorials and things online, and
I'm wondering how they do that. Like, I saw the rendering at the bottom of the screen that you just showed, or the bottom of what you just showed. Maybe they like put a grid on it,
make it, and then they draw the lines
of what the pieces they're going to be.
So the 3D on this side, that's using a computer like AutoCAD or something. I mean, it's
But
probably
I'm
not
saying for all
AutoCAD.
these, like, to come up with these patterns, you know what I mean? So they probably design the helmet or whatever in AutoCAD or whatever they're going to use,
Maybe,
and then
yeah.
somehow layer a grid over it to know what pieces are going to be symmetrical. Left piece, because I have left piece, right piece, you know, and I have to assemble it.
Probably, yeah. And then
because if not, it's going to be a whole hell of a lot of trial and error, right? I mean, to get things perfectly right, I need this piece of this size, you know, because it was.
And if you don't get when you cut it, and it says to cut it at a 45-degree angle, and it's not that.
Yeah, like this piece here, it has a dotted line indicating I got to cut 40-degree bevel because this is going to be the inside cheek piece, and it's got to go in.
Because if you line them up, if you cut it at 90 degrees, they're just going to line up straight. But if you cut them beveled to the underside, then they'll join kind of like with a point.
Exactly.
And sometimes you need that rigid line, especially for like the Mandalorian. He has that cheek indent.
Yeah, I was looking for the other piece. There's another piece hidden in there, but that's what it does. One's an inside bevel, one's an outside bevel, and it creates like that concave cheek.
That cheek, yeah.
The defining thing of the helmet, you know.
With my Moon Knight mask, I actually used one of her patterns and just modified it. I put foam clay on there and magnets and stuff, and slightly changed the form of the outside of it. But I just used the pattern as a base. And some of my bevels were a little bit off, so I just used a Dremel. I didn't really have the time because we were in Dragon Con crunch to remake it and cut all the pieces out again. So I just Dremeled them and just did the best I could. And knowing that I was going to put foam clay on a lot of the outside anyway, I just went for it. And it turned out okay. It actually ended up being a bit big. And I never made a prototype. So I think a good idea is to, with your first pattern, even the pattern size might be wrong. Just build it out of foam and see if it fits your head or face. If it's just a mask that goes over your face, and if not, then you know how much you need to really reduce the size of the pattern, reduce or enlarge the size of the pattern, and then put it onto foam again and remake another prototype.
Yep. That's what I'm worried about because I'm seeing some of them. I wonder if it's going to be long enough, you know, because I'm seeing some people putting them on and it's just right there at the chin, just barely.
Yeah.
Have my beard creeping out the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, and you could just lengthen some of those pieces.
Exactly.
You might not notice the difference from looking. And if someone looks at you, they're not going to be like, oh, that piece is probably a bit longer than it should be.
Yeah, I'm not going to know until I build it up and cut out these pieces and put it on, you know.
Right. And generally, once you've made it and it's not quite right, it's still, even though you know it's not quite right, to people that are looking at it, they're just like, wow, that's the Mandalorian or character.
A lot of times they don't see the flaws that you do.
Yeah, we've mentioned it before. The flaws you know, and they're in your mind. But
I have that experience with like customers. You know, we had an owner hovering over top of us the whole time while I'm installing a kitchen, and there was a slight spider crack on the inside of a drawer face. Normally, I have tricks to put that in, fill it in with some putty, a little sealer, you know. He never would have known it was there, but since he was there overwatching, he knew it was there, and he was always going to know it was there. So he wanted a whole new front. So it was just, you know, just like if you're looking at it all the time, building it, you know that little flaw. So you're always going to go to it because you know it's there. People, when you're walking by in the convention, they don't know.
No, and in the right lighting, yeah, you can't see any defects. Make it dark enough. What did Rod say? Delphi's going to drop some knowledge.
A little while ago. But
knowledge bomb.
So I'm basically going to take the mask and then I'm going to make apparently Thanos kills Death, and so I thought it would be cool to basically make a skull, but with some, I don't know how I'm gonna do the front of it, but have like Thanos's helmet like as part of the skull embellished on it once the skull itself is done, and then somehow get some lighting to come behind it, like really it's Death kind of wearing Thanos's helmet, and that's really kind of what my idea would be.
That's really cool.
So she's not really dead; she's kind of inside of Thanos because you can't really kill Death.
Right.
That's a cool mashup.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna work on. I thought that'd be a cool thing to do. I was trying to figure out. I was like, what kind of mask do I want to make? Because I don't usually do a lot of masks in my cosplay, and typically when I do have masks, they're leather masks.
Right, like Black Cat.
Black Cat, or even Killer Frost. I didn't have one. Harlequin was a leather mask, so
Poison Ivy was a bit heavy.
That was heavy.
Plastic it was.
Yeah, I didn't make that.
Right.
But we'll see. So
yeah.
Are we gonna change the angle, or are you guys gonna do some cutting?
Yeah,
What's
shall
the
we
plan today? Boys?
I was hoping to be in my shop cutting on the Sans because I actually took the time today and transferred some of my patterns.
So I know we talked about this. So maybe we don't do that this time. But I know Kachung and I were talking about the garage is hot at nighttime just from the day because it's so hot right now. So because we were gonna do it in there as well because we have like a workbench.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you guys want to talk about like a better time or.
Yeah, because it heats up during the day, and by late afternoon, it's at least high 80s in there. We don't have AC in our garage, and
I don't think most people do.
No, and if we open up the door, it's just going to let even more hot air in. So,
or maybe get some fan set up or something.
If it's earlier in the day, then we're still cool from the morning. So perhaps for kind of building and literally being live while we cut stuff up and glue stuff together, just after midday or something would be a better time.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
People probably watch us on the rewind anyway, so we'll just, do it live, and whoever turns up, and they can watch us on the rewind later. And then as we maybe later in the season, it can cool down a little bit, and we might be able to change the time again.
Yeah. Well, if we're same time next week, my plan is to be cutting these out at the shop, broadcasting from my shop, cutting out and sanding these pieces.
Cool.
So
nice.
Hopefully we'll be able to do that next week.
So you noticed on your patterns, these are the ones from Delphia's. Let me just go how do we make this big again? There.
Yeah, the reference marks.
Yeah, these reference marks. So you just cut a little notch out, and that makes when you transfer your pattern, I noticed you put them on yours.
Yeah.
The little marks, so they line up. It helps you when those little marks are on the foam. It helps you line them up when you put the pieces together. Because once you use contact cement on that foam, it ain't coming off. As soon as you press those surfaces together,
Jeffrey,
they won't come apart.
John and Jeffrey, what's up, guys?
Hey, John.
Hey,
Jeff.
John.
Yeah, you need some lacquer thinner. Get some lacquer thinner and a brush, and it'll start. The glue will just. Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
How about that? To get the glue apart, if you make a mistake and you want to pull it apart.
Lacquer thinner, denatured alcohol, sometimes in a pinch, nail polish remover.
Interesting.
The main product is really the alcohol, but when I use contact cement to lay down laminated tops, and sometimes they don't smooth out properly and you have to remove it. So we have a little dish soap bottle full of lacquer thinner, and we'll sprinkle some in there to loosen it up.
That's great.
Or you can actually use the heat gun.
Pretty smart.
What was that?
You can also use the heat gun.
Yeah, I've tried
Depends
that.
Depends on the foam though, how much
Yeah.
heat it can take.
Maybe the high density foam might work better.
I feel like Bake's mask is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
He knows all the tricks.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely learning stuff from you, which is great. I know you're a bit of a tradesman, so
I'm new to this realm, so I'm already picking up tips and tricks from you guys.
Same here. I didn't know that. I've heard of people putting some kind of thinner in the contact cement itself to kind of, I don't know if it makes it go further or if it just spreads.
Nah, I don't even use it. Like I shoot it out of I have an air compressor and I had put it in a spray gun and I actually spray it out.
I see.
It's a big, big heavy duty gun. I'm not going to use that for the mask. I'll just have a little jar and spread it on with like a foam brush.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get the pots that have like the lid that unscrews and it has the brush attached to the lid inside.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people use that. They just unscrew it, wipe
For me, I get it in like big 5-gallon drums. So I'll pour it in like a little, paint can or something and I'll just brush it on.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good to see you too, Jeffrey.
Yeah, and if you need to clean it up, mineral spirits works too. That's less abrasive, less harsh inhaling.
Right.
Should be wearing a mask anyway.
Yes. I think the first year we did Dragon Con, I used some of that contact cement inside. And then I was like, it doesn't smell right. It doesn't seem right. And I started I felt like I was getting a cold or something. And it was actually really irritating the back of my throat. And I started using it outside and I still wasn't wearing a mask. And it just got worse. And then I was like, man, I'm not doing this right. And then
I'm used to it at my shop, so it's not that harsh for me. But I also have a big fan blowing. So, but yeah, when you're inside of a house or something, like we have to warn customers, like, look, this is going to be harsh for a little bit. So, but we have to use it,
Yeah.
When it's a big job or something or a weird cabinet, we can't get it out. So yeah, it is harsh.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm going to be doing freehand is I have a picture I found.
Nice.
It's kind of a pattern, but it's not. It's just kind of a side shot of Dr. Fate's helmet. And I scaled it up and made it what seemed to be the right size for my head, but we'll see. The thing is, if I just cut that out, it has to curve over to the center of my head. So in actual fact, it probably needs to be slightly larger because it has to take into account it curving over my head instead of just being,
Probably have to cut
profile.
like a spacer strip, like probably 2 inches wide, the same length of the helmet.
So what I'm thinking of doing is just drawing it a bit larger, or maybe I'll just reprint it slightly larger, and then cut it out. I need to, if I'm going to do this one, finish the pattern on the back because it kind of cut it off when I printed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the problem when you don't have a pattern. You kind of have to create one yourself, and for everything I've built.
Oh yeah, I can see it already, man. Make it a little bit bigger and then like kind of shift so you're looking at the front, cut a strip to connect the one side to the other.
Right.
To go from front to back of the helmet.
And that eye hole, the hole that you have to cut out for the eye. This is what it looks like from the side, but if you were to really look at it from the front, it would probably be slightly bigger than that because it's on a different angle. So
Oh yeah, you could get a stencil cut out for your eye hole and like just tape it on or trace it on and see what it looks like, and then eventually cut it out.
I'm going to be doing some experimenting and probably a couple of different prototypes to get this right. But I think the process, I'll maybe try and record and do some kind of time lapse. So, and upload that as a separate video so people can see, they don't have to sit there for the whole process. And we can talk about it in our weekly show, but
we could probably do that, man. I can do videotape myself doing some stuff at the shop. You can videotape, and then we'll just splice it together and have an episode where we just kind of watch it, talk about it with everybody,
talk through what you're doing.
That's a great idea. Look at us brainstorming
live and on air.
It's not the first time that's happened,
right? Well, so I mean, I guess we can pencil in for earlier next week, and then go.
I hope so.
Some of the process of getting this onto foam. I think maybe in the meantime, I'll just experiment with my helmet pattern, create a pattern out of the picture. And you're just going to keep going.
What density of foam is your helmet?
I have no idea. It's the floor mats.
Oh, the floor mats. Okay.
Yeah. They said 10 millimeter. So I just went, they're like, yeah, you could just use the floor mats. I'm like, oh, I got some of them laying around the shops.
Yeah.
There's some dents in it from sitting on the floor and actually being in a workshop. But I think that
walking on those?
Yeah. I washed them all with bleach and Clorox and all that stuff. So they're good to go. But awesome. There's some dents in it. And I'm like, I can either fill them in or it might add to the wear and tear of the helmet.
That's cool.
Because normally when they're done, I see them taking roto zips and taking chunks out of the helmet like it's battle damage. So I'm like, if I already got dents in it, hey.
You're good.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great. You're reusing what you've already been using.
Yeah. Well, I went to Kmart to get some new ones, but they didn't have anything. They were closing down, basically.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to next week, man. We'll establish a time and throw it out there.
Definitely. And it'll definitely be earlier. We got, I think, 2 of these left. So we can at least start with some floor mats too.
I was lucky. It only took 1 square.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you just arranged, and you did both sides, right? The left and right?
Yep, left and right. They're all traced out, ready to... Yeah, I guess I can get it. I'm going to need a little bit more. I lied. I forgot I have this earpiece that goes on the sides. Like, it says do it out of thin foam, but after watching it, I want a little depth to it. So I might make it, I don't know, maybe if I could find a medium and a thin.
That's cool. Does it tell you what kind of foam to use?
I'm not sure in the PDF. I don't think it does.
In the video, the guy said what it was, but he's like, it's $1. It just says thin, medium, and dense.
Okay. Yeah, because
pretty cool.
We got lots of this. You could probably just start off using the high density. This is a 6 millimeter. We have a thicker 10 millimeter high density foam.
Yeah. I think that's the one I want to use for my ears, and then I want to use there's the little frame for the helmet for the face that I'll probably use. I
ordered this from some cosplayer last year. Not cosplayer. He just does cosplay supplies, right?
Yeah. Who are they? It's not Punished Props.
Nope.
It's SKS.
That's it. SKS.
Hey Jeff, what's up?
Yep. SKS has a bunch of moldable foam.
They've even got into foam clay now.
Hey Joe.
They do bevels.
So I'm good right now. I have $0 invested, and I'm pretty solid on my build so far.
Nice. I invested $9 today. I bought two pattern kits from Kamui Cosplay. I follow her on Instagram, but I follow so many cosplayers, and I'm not heavily invested in any of them. I know that sounds so terrible, but if I like something, I follow it, and that's
yeah. And when it comes across your feed, you're just like, cool. You know, it's just something to look at.
That's awesome. Screenshot. Awesome. Save. You know what I mean? That's about it. But I mean, she's
That's
done.
how I feel.
That's most people, right? Squirrel. Like, but I mean, she has some great stuff. But so I went on her website today and looked at all of her pattern packets, and I got the animal and packet. I think it's like animal and ears, so it's like elves and animals, which was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I might do something with that later, but not a mask. You know what I mean? Because I would make ears and a mask. That would be a lot going on. But then the skull ones were really cool, and so I asked Kachung. I was like, what comic book characters have skulls? And I mean, there's some that come to mind, you know, pretty immediately, obviously, like Ghost Rider and then I blank, right? Like, we saw a couple others. I actually looked up, I was looking at Thanos and what I'm going to do with Death, and I even asked him because I like Lady Death, and I was like, does she ever wear like a skull mask? Because I don't really think she does.
I think she is just a skull.
I mean, yeah, but like, I mean, as far as like how she's portrayed,
like Vampirilla, you know, she's kind of like a seductress of sorts.
So I really wanted to be able to add a lot of detail, and so that's kind of how I ended up on this, you know, crossover. You know what I mean? I thought it would be kind of cool to have two cosplays in one, essentially.
Because I think she's even referred to as Lady Death in the Marvel comics.
Gotcha.
Thanos's love, I suppose.
So, and then maybe I can make my own Infinity Gauntlet, which would also be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
So.
Oh, Joe asked a question. Have you ever used UV cured epoxies? Never. At least not yet. Epoxies are a type of plastic. I've used like 2-part liquid epoxies that cure just, you know, in air. And they cure pretty quickly, and they kind of self-level. You still have to sand them to get a nice shiny plasticky surface that you can paint. And you can do multiple coats, but yeah, the UV cured ones, I've seen people use them, and for helmets too, but mainly for armor. And I think, I don't know if 3D printers use that kind of epoxy, but that's where a lot of patents, I think, come from too, are these new 3D printing capabilities that people have. There's a lot of people in the cosplay community that have brought on 3D printers into their arsenal.
Yeah, they just take a really long time, and I've also heard people having to reprint something several times before the machine actually gets it right, because they'll print it and it's kind of crooked, and so they'll adjust it, and then it'll get a little bit better and a little bit better, and they'll print it like 17 times before. And it takes days sometimes to print like a mask, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of plastic.
Yeah. And then even then, there's a lot of sanding. Because there's a lot of those. Because it keeps going.
I'll be looking forward to that sanding when we get to the painting phase, the prep phase.
Yeah, with foam, there's not much sanding. There's a little bit, you know, if you want to get some edges off around your seams. A lot of times you just cover up your seams with other parts of the armor or whatever, if you need to, or if you can. But the sanding definitely comes in when you paint. And if you need it really shiny, and you're doing multiple coats of kind of like a lacquered.
Oh no, it's just prepping, man. Getting in every little crevice and going everywhere, because it's got to be able to take the paint. It's got to take the primer.
Right.
You got to sand in between each coat, then taping things off. It's just a long, tedious process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll go through all
And we'll
that.
be getting started with that next week. I don't know what time. Maybe an hour or two earlier. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll pencil in maybe early afternoon.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for.
We're clearly married. Yeah. Same time, same inflection in our voice.
All right. Well, thanks for watching on the rewind, everyone that tuned in after the fact. I think in a few minutes, Rod might be on. So
Yay, Rod. We'll definitely be in the chat.
Chat Meisters will be in there. All right, Bake. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Can't wait for next week. Fun's going to get started.
Great. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.